Some people have the feeling that they live too aware, that they notice things no one else notices, as if they have an internal radar that senses when something is wrong, even when everything seems normal. But this radar is not always listened to. And when it is ignored, regret comes, pain, and the thought, "I knew it." If you feel this often, you may have noticed that your way of seeing the world is different. You pick up on details in someone's look, in the tone of their voice, in the energy of a place. You feel uncomfortable in places where others feel fine. And no matter how hard you try to fit in, something inside you warns that all is not right. It's as if your soul is always showing you what your eyes can't yet see. As if there's a silent voice trying to protect you, but you don't always hear it clearly. And the cost of that is high: broken trust, wrong choices, paths that hurt even after invisible warnings. This kind of sensitivity is not common. It isn't taught. And because of that, those who have it often feel alone. But this sensitivity has a name. And when you understand what it really is, everything starts to make more sense. What seemed like confusion becomes direction, and you finally understand your role. Many lie lost because they ignore what they feel. They choose paths based on appearance, pretty words, or empty promises. And then they wonder why everything fell apart. Those who are chosen need to go further. They need to develop a rare ability that protects, guides, and aligns. An ability that, once awakened, changes the way you walk in the world. Maybe you already have this ability, but have never used it the right way. Maybe you are living repeated situations because you haven't yet recognized that you carry something greater. Maybe you are ready for something that can only be accessed when this inner perception is activated. And if you've read this far, it's not a coincidence. Today, I want to show you something that few talk about, but that every chosen one needs to understand. A silent yet powerful gift. If this already touched something inside you, stay with me until the end. And if this video speaks to your soul, subscribe here, not out of habit, but out of direction. This channel is a meeting point for those who have already felt they were born for more. There is a gift that makes no noise, but changes everything. A gift that does not show itself in fancy words, but in the silence of one who sees what no one else can see. This gift is called spiritual discernment, and whoever carries it develops a perception that goes far beyond logic. It is something that comes from the soul. Discernment is not simply knowing how to choose between right and wrong. It is knowing how to perceive what is hidden. It is sensing what is behind words, intentions, and appearances. It's when you hear something and feel that it's not quite what it seems. Even if everyone believes it, something inside you says, "Don't go down that path." While many live making decisions based on appearance, emotion, or haste, discernment acts differently. It is a kind of internal alert, a subtle voice that warns, "Look closer." It doesn't need proof, it doesn't need explanations, because discernment doesn't work with data. It works with deep spiritual sensations. Most people are guided by information. The chosen are guided by wisdom. Information is what's outside. Wisdom is what is processed inside. You can read 1,000 things, hear advice from all sides, but if you don't have discernment, you will still get lost. Because too much information without direction only creates confusion. Spiritual discernment is like a compass that points to what the eyes can't see. Even when everything around looks safe, it picks up on something invisible. It feels the energy. It perceives the atmosphere. And no matter how much the world says everything is fine, the heart of the chosen one warns if something is out of alignment. This perception cannot be learned from books. It is born from spiritual sensitivity. Those who develop this gift have often been through situations where they were deceived, manipulated, or hurt. and the pain of these experiences awakened a new kind of inner listening. A listening that does not depend on words, but on vibration. The chosen one does not need to explain how they know. They simply do. There are no formulas. It's as if your soul connects directly with a truth that the world has not accessed yet. And because of this, they are often disbelieved. Because spiritual discernment challenges traditional logic. It doesn't prove, it reveals. This gift is essential for the path of the chosen one, because the greater the mission, the greater the attempt at distraction, and only those who discern clearly can remain steadfast. The world is full of voices, paths, promises, but only those with discernment can identify what really comes from truth. To discern is to see where no one is looking. It is not to be carried away by the glitter of the surface. It is to make silence inside to hear what the soul is trying to say. The chosen one, when they listen to this voice attentively, starts to walk with fewer mistakes, less fear, and more alignment with what they came to accomplish. This gift is inside you, and even if it is dormant, it can be awakened. Discernment is not a privilege. It is a response. It grows stronger when you choose to listen more with your heart than with your ears. And when you learn to trust this feeling, your journey gains new clarity. The path of the chosen is different. They are not here to follow the common flow. They carry a mission that demands sensitivity, clarity, and connection. That's why they can't walk in the dark. They can't depend only on the world's logic. They need something deeper. And that's exactly where spiritual discernment comes in. The chosen one feels a lot, perceives a lot, and attracts many people. Some come with love, others with interest. Some come to add, others to drain. Without discernment, it's impossible to know who is who, and the risk of getting hurt increases. That's why this gift is not just useful, it's necessary. Whoever has light attracts attention. But not every look is sincere. Not every approach is well-intentioned. The chosen one needs to discern energies, intentions, and environments. They need to sense when something is not clean, even if everything seems fine. This gift works as a spiritual shield against deceptions, disguised as good opportunities. The spiritual journey attracts many tests. People who seem like masters, but are really seeking control. Situations that look like blessings, but are traps. Without discernment, the chosen one can lose their way, even if they started out with the right heart. The gift of discernment is constant protection. The spiritual world is not just light. There are distractions, illusions, and voices that imitate the truth. Discernment allows the chosen one to identify what is real and what is manipulation. It's what differentiates a true calling from an ego-driven desire. Those who don't develop this gift are easily confused. Discernment also prevents a waste of energy. The chosen one has a generous heart, but if they give that to the wrong people, they become exhausted. And when they are tired, they disconnect from their mission. To discern is to know where to place your presence, your time, and your soul. It is to say no with peace and yes with direction. Without discernment, the chosen one becomes an easy target for guilt, manipulation, and doubt. And a confused soul gets further from its purpose. Discernment brings clarity back. It shows what is yours and what is someone else's burden. It separates what needs to be healed from what needs to be left behind. The more the chosen one grows spiritually, the more they need to discern. Because distractions don't decrease, they change form. They become more subtle. And the greatest danger doesn't lie in the obvious, but in the disguised. Discernment allows you to see what physical eyes cannot, and that changes everything. This gift is not a spiritual luxury. It is a basic tool for anyone with a true mission. It is what steers you away from the wrong paths, closes the right doors at the wrong times, and reveals who should not walk by your side. When discernment is ignored, the price is high. When it is activated, the journey aligns. The chosen one can no longer walk without discerning. The times demand awareness, the battles are internal, and the strongest protection comes from within. Discernment is the voice of God whispering in decisive moments. Those who learn to listen to this voice begin to live with more lightness, precision, and truth. Discernment is a silent but powerful spiritual gift. When it's activated, it guides, protects, and leads. But like any gift, it can be blocked. And the greatest risk for the chosen one is trying to follow their mission with discernment blocked. Because without inner clarity, any path seems right, even the one that leads to the abyss. One of the biggest blockers is the ego. When the ego is wounded, discernment gets confused with pride. A person stops listening to what they feel. They listen only to what they want to hear. The ego makes it seem like everything is a sign, everything is an answer, everything is personal. And then real discernment is lost to emotional distortion. The second strong blockage is unbalanced emotions. When the heart is hurt, it interferes with spiritual vision. Resentment, anger, neediness, and frustration create inner noise. And where there is noise, there is no clear listening. Discernment needs a clear space to operate. When emotion takes over, intuition is stifled. Another enemy of discernment is fear. The fear of making mistakes, losing, being rejected. All this paralyzes. Fear makes a person ignore what they feel, even when noticing signs. Fear tries to rationalize what the Spirit has already revealed. And because of this, the chosen one loses time, energy, and direction. Uncontrolled desire also blocks discernment. When the urge to have something is greater than inner peace, the chosen one stops listening to their internal compass. They force doors, insist where they shouldn't, interpret everything as confirmation. Intense desire clouds spiritual vision and keeps the truth from revealing itself clearly. Lack of presence also gets in the way. When you live on autopilot, you repeat patterns and make decisions without questioning them. Discernment requires attention. It requires awareness. A scattered soul cannot pick up the signs. Being present is the first step in perceiving what is right and wrong in the spiritual realm. Another important point is haste. Discernment does not operate at the speed of anxiety. Those who want immediate answers, without reflection or observation, end up making decisions with no foundation. Spirituality has its own timing. The signs appear when you learn to wait. Too much hurry cuts off the flow of inner revelation. Finally, excessive spiritual neediness also blocks. When the chosen one always places their security in others, seeks confirmation outside themselves, asks for opinions about everything, they end up losing contact with their own inner voice. Discernment is personal, and it only grows stronger when you stop outsourcing your sensitivity. Unblocking discernment is an internal cleansing process. It's not about doing more. It's about feeling more, listening more, trusting more. When you learn to truly listen to yourself, everything starts to align. The gift is there inside you. It just needs space to work as it should. Spiritual discernment is not something you receive fully formed. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. And if you are chosen, you need to learn to train this perception every day. Without practice, it weakens. And with practice, it becomes one of your greatest forms of spiritual protection. The first step is silence. The world is always talking. There are opinions, distractions, news, promises. Discernment is not born in noise. It grows in silence. Take a moment each day not to talk, not to respond, not to consume anything. Just listen, not to the world, but to what your soul is saying in that moment. The second step is observation. A chosen one cannot live distracted. It's necessary to observe what you feel when entering a place, talking to someone, making a decision. The body speaks. The energy informs. Training discernment is learning to read the invisible with attention, without hurry and without judgment. Another key step is self-knowledge. If you don't know yourself, you confuse emotion with intuition. You think you're receiving a sign, but it's just fear. You think you're being guided, but you're just needy. The more you know your pains and patterns, the freer you become to clearly hear what truly comes from God. Another way to train is to question yourself. When facing a choice, ask, does this feeling come from peace or from fear? From my spirit or from my ego? Discernment grows when you stop accepting everything as absolute truth and start sincerely investigating. To question is to open space for deeper answers. Write down what you feel, recording perceptions, sensations, dreams, warnings, and doubts helps you train your listening. Over time, you begin to notice patterns. You start trusting more in what you feel, even if no one else confirms it. Discernment gets stronger when you value what your soul is already picking up. Avoid depending too much on the opinions of others. Discernment is personal. No one feels what you feel. Of course, advice helps. But when you get used to asking everyone about everything, you drift away from your own voice. The chosen one needs the courage to listen to themselves before listening to the world. Surround yourself with silence, presence, and truth. Learn to slow the mind, get out of autopilot, and perceive the present moment. Discernment lives in the now. It doesn't live in the past or in the what-ifs. It's activated when you are fully in the present moment, connected to what you are feeling in the here and now. You don't have to be perfect to have discernment. You need to be willing to listen sincerely. And that is already a powerful start. With practice, patience, and intention, your perception expands. And when that happens, your choices change, your relationships change, and your mission begins to unfold with greater clarity. Discernment is not just for making good decisions. It is an invisible shield that protects the soul of the chosen ones from spiritual traps, destructive relationships, and empty paths. Those who develop this gift can sense danger before it reveals itself, and this prevents a lot of wear, falls, and wounds that would be hard to heal later. Sometimes the warning comes as discomfort. You look into someone's eyes and feel that something is wrong. Even if everything seems right, something inside tells you to keep your distance. This discomfort isn't paranoia. It's discernment trying to warn you. This place, this person, or this energy is not for you. The chosen one has heightened spiritual sensitivity, and this sensitivity is not just a gift, it's a protection. When discernment is active, you begin to identify when you're being manipulated, when someone is pulling you energetically, when they use sweet words with hidden intentions, and with that, you protect yourself. This gift pulls you away from heavy environments, even without knowing why. It takes you out of empty conversations, invitations disguised as friendship, relationships that would drain you. You clearly begin to feel where you should stay and where you need to leave. And this movement saves your energy, your faith, and even your emotional health. The protection of discernment also shows in decisions. You consider accepting something, but you feel blocked. You think about following a certain path, but everything inside tells you not to. It's as if the whole universe is trying to pull you back. When you trust that feeling, it's like dodging an invisible abyss. Even when no one understands your choice, you know the reason. Because the internal feeling is stronger than any argument. Spiritual discernment protects without needing to prove anything. It simply shows
whispers, guides. And those who learn to listen to this gift avoid many pains that once seemed inevitable.
The more aligned you are with your mission, the more discernment will become a part of your day. It won't protect you from the world, but it will prepare you to walk through it with awareness. And that's already a profound form of spiritual care. Trust what you feel. Discernment is God silently guiding you. Every chosen one, at some point, will be tested. It's not a punishment, it's preparation. Discernment needs to be put to the test, to grow stronger. And these tests don't come from ordinary life, they come from the spiritual journey. Illusion, doubt, temptation, and isolation are narrow doors that the chosen one must cross without losing their inner connection. Illusion is one of the hardest tests. It disguises itself as a blessing, an opportunity, a prayer answered. Everything seems right, but inside you, there is a warning. The real test is in this. Trust the appearance or listen to intuition. Discernment only grows when you choose the truth you feel, not the truth the world shows. Doubt is a silent test. It creeps in when you start to question yourself too much, even about what you already know. Is this really it? Am I hearing correctly? Am I deceiving myself? Doubt tries to disconnect you from your inner voice. In that moment, discernment means choosing faith, even without all the guarantees. Temptation isn't only about things that look wrong. Sometimes it comes disguised as something good that isn't meant for you. It offers shortcuts, easy promises, paths with a false shine. The test is, do you prefer what shines now, or what keeps you faithful to your purpose? Discernment is what keeps you grounded. Isolation is a deep test. The chosen one goes through phases where they feel alone, with no answers, no direction. It seems like the sky has gone silent. This is the moment when discernment is sharpened. Because it's in the silence and solitude that you learn to hear your soul's voice more clearly. These tests are not enemies. They are disguised teachers. They show where your discernment still needs to grow, where you still doubt yourself, where you need to trust God more, and the noise around you less. Every chosen one goes through this before reaching a higher spiritual level. No one accesses more light without first facing the shadows. If you're being tested, it's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you are ready. Ready to strengthen your gift, refine your listening, and align your faith with your mission. Discernment, when tested and maintained, turns into living wisdom. Keep going. You're being trained, not rejected. When you start to trust your discernment, everything changes. Decisions become clearer. Relationships become lighter. The environments that once felt heavy start to dissolve. The soul aligns with what truly matters. You no longer waste time on what isn't meant for you. You stand in your truth. The first fruit is peace. Even in the midst of chaos, you feel you're on the right path. Because you no longer act on impulse, nor to please others, nor to avoid conflict. You act from your connection with God. And when that connection guides your choices, life begins to flow more smoothly. Discernment also brings natural protection. You don't need to fight, argue, or justify. Something within you begins to filter situations before they become traps. People who would have hurt you drift away. Wrong paths close off. Disguised invitations are effortlessly refused. Your energy starts attracting what is in harmony. Another fruit is true connections. When you discern clearly, you no longer accept halfway bonds. You stop insisting on relationships that drain you. You begin to value more the presence of those who truly see you. And little by little, spiritually aligned people start to appear, without forcing anything. Intuition also grows stronger. What once was just a hunch now becomes guidance. You start trusting what you feel without needing external confirmation. And the more you trust, the more accurate you become. Discernment becomes a clear channel between you and the spiritual realm, a channel that guides with steadiness and gentleness. When this gift is activated, life stops feeling so heavy. That doesn't mean the absence of problems, but a new way of facing them, with wisdom, with vision beyond appearances. Discernment becomes like a map that shows the way through the fog, and the chosen one starts walking with greater certainty. But this gift must be cultivated. It's not just activated once and that's it. It needs care, practice, and silence. It needs prayer, inner listening, and the courage to follow what you feel, even when it's hard. Discernment fades when ignored and shines when obeyed with faith. Discernment is the most important gift a chosen one can develop, because it protects you, guides you, and connects you to what is real. It is what tells you when to go, and when to stop, when to persist, and when to let go, when to open doors, and when to close them without guilt. This gift is your compass. The truth is already inside you, but it needs to be listened to carefully. And listening to your own truth takes courage. It's not easy to follow what your soul feels when the world says otherwise. But the chosen one was not called to follow the world. They were called to follow the Spirit. Now I ask you, how many times have you ignored your intuition and regretted it? How many times did you feel the sign but didn't have the courage to act? Maybe this is the moment to change, to reconnect, to trust again in the voice that has protected you so many times and that you, unintentionally, have silenced.